Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Andrew Warren, and in today's video, we're going to be doing another portfolio breakdown, just another transparency update where I show the movements in the stock market for especially the stocks in my portfolio, but we'll be talking about others as well, like the general stock market trend like VOO and stuff like that, and of course, just talking about my predictions for the future, how I feel about the market currently, and just things along those lines. So as always, if you do appreciate this content and enjoy the transparency update, then please make sure to smash that like button. It really does help me out and I appreciate it so much. But just jumping onto the main topic, as you can see today, we had a rough day recently. We had a really rough day yesterday where the stock market and especially my portfolio was about down around 3%. So it was definitely a big dip, a big red day for sure. But a lot of people started panicking yesterday. I tried to calm some fears a little bit and just really present the long-term vision as something that I really like to emphasize a lot of the times. And that's the way I invest as well. I have a long-term vision for the future. So when I look at purchasing stocks, I don't even really think about selling them. That's not even really something that I think about. Selling them is only something that really happens when I plan to just completely exit the stock market or when I'm just trying to liquidate some part of my investment, like when I retire. And honestly, that's kind of another perspective I have as well with investing. When I purchase a stock, selling it is never really something that comes to mind. However, when someone does ask me when I plan on selling it, it's either in retirement or when I really need the money, but that is very unlikely to happen. I personally don't think it's a good idea to invest money that you may need sometime soon. That's one thing that can lead to panic selling and losing money in my opinion. But worst case scenario, that's kind of how I look at it. If I do need money, I have it invested. And if I do have to take it at a loss, then it just is what it is. But the way I go about things is I kind of use my investment portfolio also as like an emergency fund. So it's not likely that I'm going to need money in an emergency fund, but if I do, I would rather have that in stocks than have it in like a money market bank account or something like that, where you can only get about up to 1% in interest. So I would just much rather have my emergency fund in my investments as well. In worst case scenario, I have to withdraw it at a loss. That's still not really a big deal to me because like I said, I probably won't need the money anyways, but if I do need money like out of an emergency fund or something, I would just much rather have that money that would be just sitting in a bank at 1% interest. I just much rather have that in the stock market and most likely gaining me much more than what a bank account would. And yes, I know a lot of people probably would disagree with this strategy, but in my opinion, this is just a risk tolerance thing. If you have a higher risk tolerance, then personally I feel like this is the way to go. And keep in mind that anything that I say or have said in this video is not to be considered financial advice, but I'm the type of person that can weigh my risks and say, okay, here's the worst case scenario. I have to withdraw the money at a loss because I need it for some sort of reason. And I'm honestly okay with that. But honestly, I don't think I'm going to need to withdraw money at a loss for an emergency fund reason. I just don't think that I will need to use money from an emergency fund anytime soon. But if it does happen, then I'm okay with doing that at a loss. And I would just much rather have my money invested rather than just in a bank account. So with that being said, considering it's a very small chance that I would actually need emergency fund money, then it is worth the risk for me to put it into the stock market and for that potential of me withdrawing it at a loss. I'm completely okay with that risk because I think it's kind of unlikely. And for another thing, I'm pretty motivated to not want to sell my stocks. I'm the type of person, if I buy a stock like Microsoft or Tesla, it's really going to bother me to sell it. So my motivations are not to sell these stocks. So worst case scenario, I would probably find another way to get that emergency fund money, like selling a physical item that I have or something that I could go without, rather than selling something that can make me more money in the future. So that's also something that I wanted to mention with this video because I don't think I've really addressed this before. I know there's always the topic of an emergency fund in the finance community, but I've never really mentioned that I kind of use my stock portfolio as an emergency fund as well. And keep in mind that there are other people that do this also. Meet Kevin actually does this, and I completely agree with him on that. We kind of have similar mentalities when it comes to the idea of an emergency fund. And for another thing, just the idea of having $10,000 to $30,000 gaining only 1% or less in interest when you could be gaining 10% or more, that's just kind of crazy to me. And I completely understand why other people just keep it in the bank and prefer to do it that way because they have a different risk tolerance, and that's completely understandable. Everyone has their own risk tolerance and they make decisions based off of that risk tolerance, and I have mine as well, which is why I do it this way. But anyways, just jumping on to the main topic of today, today. As you can see from our portfolio, I'm up 1.79% for today, or about $1,500 to be exact, about $1,543. And then for the after hours, we're up 0.20%, or plus $180. So not only is today looking good, but after hours as well. As I mentioned before, though, when you see after hours the day of pointing to what will happen in the next day, it's not really an accurate representation of what the next day will look like, because there's been plenty of times where after hours have been negative and then the next day it's like super green. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But the really interesting thing about today is that we started out under the market in the red at 9 a.m. and then about at 9:30 we started going really downhill. It spiked all the way down to minus 1.40%, or minus $1,200 at 9:50 a.m. And then ever since that point, the market kind of just kept moving upwards and moving upwards. And then finally, we got past the baseline at this 11:50 a.m. marker. And then ever since then, it's just kept going up and up and up. And especially towards like the last hour of the day, it started going up tremendously. So this day really turned itself around in the stock market. We went from being at minus 1.40%, or minus $1,200, to now being at plus 1.79%, or plus $1,500. So this is definitely a big deal, and I kind of feel like this is sort of a rare occurrence in the stock market. Yes, sometimes we see the stock market up like 1 or 2%, and by the end of the day it spikes back down like way under the baseline, like minus 1 or 2%. But I feel like it is kind of rare to be so far in the negative early on in the day, and then in the day very positive, unless we have like a media pump at the end of the day where we have the president speak or something. That's usually when you'll see something like this happen. So it is kind of a rare occurrence to see something like this happen in the stock market, where we start off pretty negative and then in the day really positive. So I'm definitely grateful for today. We had a great stock market day, and it looks like maybe tomorrow, I have some confidence that tomorrow is going to be good as well. Sometimes we just got to get the bad drops out of the way, and that's like with what happened on June 10th. It became pretty obvious that stock prices were becoming inflated, and then we had a drop on June 10th. I feel like that corrected it a little bit, leveled it out, and then the general trend kept going upwards. We had a similar situation happen on June 23rd, and then now if you look back at it, I try to tell people not to panic too much over this most recent drop on the 24th, and then of course on the 25th today, we're almost back where we were at on the 23rd. So we're almost near all-time highs for the portfolio once again. If we look at this point right here, I was at $88,900 about it, and then for today we're at about $88,200. So we're really close to all-time highs once again. I'm definitely excited about this. And just to mention another thing, I really want to start grinding more videos for you all on this channel, but I've been super busy trying to figure out taxes and how much I owe for this year before this upcoming July 15th date where it's due. So that's the main reason I haven't been able to do a lot of videos lately, because I have been focusing on just getting all of that paperwork together and trying to figure out how much I actually owe, because the earlier I get that done, the earlier I can start putting more money into stocks right now, because right now I have cash on the sidelines that I can't use for stocks because I don't know how much I'm going to owe in taxes just yet. So that's what I'm dealing with right now, and that's kind of why there hasn't been a lot of uploads on the channel recently. But once that's done and done with, I'm trying to get the rest of that finished today and tomorrow. So once that's done, I'll have a lot more time to dedicate to these videos and just upload more content and talk about this topic more. So anyways, with that being said, we had a fantastic day today. Portfolio is almost near an all-time high. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the gains and losses for today. No losses whatsoever, so I'm happy about that. So we'll start off with Microsoft. As you can see for today, I own 195 shares, takes up about 44% of my portfolio. And so for today's return, we're at plus 1.34%, or plus $519. And then for the total return, we're at plus 16.99%, or plus $5,677. So a really great day for Microsoft. Any day over 1% is a really good day in my book. And next up, we have the big mover for today's portfolio, which is Tesla stock. So I own 34 shares of Tesla, takes up about 38% of my portfolio. And as you can see, today's return is plus 3.14%, or plus $1,025. Then for the total return, we're at plus 18.16%, or plus $5,179. So a really solid day for Tesla. We actually started out the day in the negative and then into the day pretty positive. So I'm definitely happy about the performance of this one today. Once again, we're close to $1,000. I feel like we're just going to have a lot of volatility over and under this $1,000 mark for the upcoming few days or so. And then with Apple stock as well, we had a nice day at plus 1.34%, which is about plus $202. And then for the total return, we're at plus 27.60%, or plus $3,314. So really solid day for Apple today as well. And that's pretty much the rundown of my portfolio. HLX is just a free stock, so this is really the portfolio that I take into consideration. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to smash that like button, and also feel free to sign up to Robinhood and Webull with my referral link in the description. If you sign up with those links, then we'll both get some free stocks, which is always awesome. It's passive income. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.